Hi, I'm Ava, and today I'm going to teach you about an invasive species that is common throughout the United States and has become a serious problem in Ohio wetlands. An invasive species is any sort of living organism that is not native to an ecosystem and causes any sort of harm, whether that be economic, environmental, or to human health. Invasive species can be brought in by animals and by humans, whether it's intentional or unintentional. This invasive species is a part of a genus called Phragmites. The common name for this plant is the common reed. The common reed grows in wetlands, which is a biome that includes swamps, marshes, fens, bogs, and vernal pools. In Ohio, Phragmites are most commonly found in the wetlands around Lake Erie and around inland reservoirs, such as this property here. Phragmites can stand between 10 and 15 feet tall. So as you can see, this is a very marshy, mucky area. Even though the stalks are very dried out, it's quite wet. And so these Phragmites, they're a perennial plant, which means that they regrow on their own every spring and that they can persist for several years. So all of these dried out stalks that you see here were from years prior, and you've got your new stalks coming up here all on their own. So we have this natural spring here that the Phragmites has pretty much started taking over. You can barely see the water anymore, and they are really starting to outcompete a lot of our other plants. And as they continue to grow and move through this natural spring, they're going to outcompete these invasive irises, just as they did the invasive cattails that we had in this patch at one point. So this is the top of the Phragmites plant, and this is where all the seeds are contained. They're wind dispersed, and they have a high seed count, which really aids in their ability to be a successfully invasive species. Phragmites outcompetes mostly all of the native plants and is not beneficial as far as shelter or food for animals, and the dry stalks are a serious fire hazard. This can cause a lot of destruction to other species in the area, but not to Phragmites because they can bounce back from a fire very well. This is a method of mediating Phragmites, but fire ultimately does not get rid of it unless it's used as a mitigation effort for multiple years on end, and even then, it's not a foolproof way to get rid of this species. Phragmites can survive incredibly well in disrupted soils because they have specialized roots that are called rhizomes, and they're good for nitrogen fixation. And these roots, they form a mat-like chain beneath the surface, and that ultimately ends up choking out all of the surrounding vegetation. So burning and herbicides and pulling are really not very successful removal methods unless used for extensive periods of time.